Hey guys, welcome to the Kyusho question of the day for the 28th of December 2018. Today's question I'm also going to be using as the podcast for Kyusho Club for the same date, Friday, December 28th. The reason is the question is so important. And when a question is this important, it really kind of requires me to share it in more places than I normally might bother to do so. The question is, how do you stop being afraid of being attacked? Right? And the short answer to that is you will never stop being afraid of being attacked, nor should you stop being afraid of it. Now, I do need to qualify that answer a tiny bit because it's not black and white. When we're talking about fear, fear is a normal response of the body, of the brain, to protect the body from danger. Every living creature possesses fear. Every sentient creature possesses fear. Even spiders and cockroaches are afraid. Right? It's a root function of the brain. That's why when a spider sees somebody or is challenged, it will run away if it possibly can. Right? And that gets down to something that we, of course, refer to as the fight or flight reflex. Now, people unfortunately think. And so that can play havoc on that particular reflex. It is a normal function of the person to play something over and over again in their mind. Now, this whole question comes up with a statement from a martial arts instructor / self-defense expert. By the way, there's no such thing as a self-defense expert. Somebody tells you they're a self-defense expert, run. There's no such thing. Don't care who you are. You can be a martial arts expert, but those two are not the same things. Right? You could be very good at it. You could be very wise at teaching self-defense, but yeah, there is no black and white answer to it, and there is no guarantee. Despite what various internet ads say, fear no man, right? Yeah, defeat any attacker. Yeah, that's all bullshit, guys. Hope you know that. Take that with anybody who makes it's a political statement, is what it is. It's a political martial arts statement, but besides the point. The more you try to repress a thought, the bigger the thought becomes. Okay? And that applies to anything. The more you resist, the more it persists. So what you have to do is learn to deal with that fear. Now, if you are a person who has become paralyzed due to fear of being attacked, as an example, or fear of anything else. We're going to talk about this fairly generally as well. If it's starting to affect your ability to function in your life, you do need to go seek some help for it. Right? Because let's use as an example the fear of heights. I had a very bad experience when I was a kid. Made me terrified of heights. I used to like to go up on the roof of the house. And one day I was laying on the garage roof, relaxing, enjoying. I was like maybe 10, about 12 years old, maybe. I was about 12. And this was during the summer, obviously, and we had an air show going on. And one of the snowbirds, who is the Canadian military jets show guys, made a pass over the garage roof at an altitude. If I had stood up, he would have hit me when I heard the noise. I was terrified. I never got on the garage roof again for years to come. Right? Years and years to come. I wouldn't even stand on a chair at that point because every time I was up in the air, I saw that plane. It came across the roof, veered sideways between some trees and took off. Now they got in a lot of trouble that year for flying over top of cars, flying over top of buildings and all that type of stuff. And there were laws changed in the province, probably in the country, that required that they were not allowed to do anything over residential areas, blah, blah, blah. Right? So how did that get dealt with? Now, I did not go to see a psychologist over that, even though that would have been a relatively smart thing to do. But back in the 70s, that was not as commonplace as it was today. You deal with it a little bit at a time. I learned to stand on a ladder. I didn't conquer the fear, I became braver. Okay, the fear is always there. And that's exactly what you do when it comes to self-defense. When you start to have these thoughts in your mind, which you are losing, you see yourself winning. Start to put yourself into positions where you think you might, now never compromise your safety, right? But as an example, go out at night. Go out with someone, but go out at night when you normally would not, to become braver as you were going and doing this, right? Now, this is a process. And this is the thing. This is why I say there are no martial arts experts, no self-defense experts. We all will continue to learn about this because the demographics of self-defense change continuously. The situations change continuously. And as an example, you may have had a successful self-defense situation in which you dealt with somebody who was trying to rob you. Perfect. Good for you. Okay. Hopefully you came out of this unscathed. I've come out of everything unscathed. But what are you going to do if you meet a psychopath? It's not the same. It's not the same story, right? If you meet a sociopath, I know a sociopath. I have eliminated this person completely from my life because they are probably the most dangerous person around. Does this person scare me? Yeah, you're damn right they do. But I can deal with that fear, right? And that's the process that you go through. You learn to deal with fear by going in small steps. Now, I have always done very well, except for that particular incident, with dealing with emergency situations and stuff like that. The adrenaline flowing does not paralyze me. And if it paralyzes you, it's a process to go through it and correct it, and it's step by step. I am going to make a recommendation below. I don't usually on YouTube channels or blog posts or all these things, I don't always send people to outside sources, but I'm going to look this up and I'm going to link to it below. I suggest, when it comes to the conquering of fear, because fear is fear. It doesn't matter if you can be afraid of an egg timer or afraid of getting attacked. Fear is fear. Okay? Send you a link to a very well-known these days clinical psychologist, man I have a tremendous amount of respect for, Dr. Jordan Peterson. He's actually helped me a tremendous amount in dealing with life in general, because we all have our challenges, right? And take a listen to a couple of his lectures. I'm going to look for something specifically on when I'm talking about dealing with fear. He has a talk in which he talks about having to deal with somebody who's, example, afraid to get on an elevator, and how you go through the process of doing it. There is no quick fix. And remember, guys, somebody's telling you you should never be afraid of anything or anyone. That's bad advice, man. It's bad advice. And if they say they aren't afraid, they're either a liar or a sociopath, and both are, you don't want anything to do with either of them. So I suggest you run. Right? Both situations are just bad. And today we have an epidemic of mental illness that is going untreated. Now, I don't know if it's something in the water or what it is, but you've got to be careful. Now, if you are a person watching this and you're living in what's basically a war zone, you got a lot to be afraid of, and that has to be dealt with differently as well. But for the average person living in the average place, your odds are with you that you're not going to have a problem. I mean, as big as cesspools Detroit, Michigan is of violent crime, you just don't go out at night alone or go into certain areas and you're okay, right? The odds, but if you lived in Caracas, Venezuela, they'll come in your house to get you, right? It's a different world. You've also got to look at the demographic of where you live. Now, as an example, 2017, Venezuela had 26,000 murders. Think about that. Country of 18 million people has 26,000 murders. Okay. Wow, that's nothing to do with assaults. That's got nothing to do with abductions. That's got nothing to do with rape. That's just murders. That, of course, for it to be a murder, you need a body, right? That's just astronomical. You can imagine how afraid those people are. That's why they're fleeing the country in record numbers, right? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Fantastic question. Have a great day. Ciao. Oh, I'm gonna add one other thing to that because I was asked to address it as well in the question. There is the old adage of never underestimate your opponent. If you're afraid of somebody, you're not going to underestimate them. Underestimating someone comes from being cocky, like saying, I'm not afraid of you, right? I'm not going to ever admit to somebody that I'm afraid of them if they're causing me a problem, because that's an empowering statement for them. Right? And that's part of the psychology of self-defense. I'm going to link to that below as well. Right? You never admit the fear to someone. Well, I shouldn't say that, except under certain circumstances. A guy puts a gun in your mouth, in your face, and says, "Are you afraid?" Yeah, I am afraid. Right? Don't lie. That's another one of those. In all honesty, I should do a course on this and just make it free to the public, right? Because it is such a complex situation. If you lie to a sociopath, they'll kill you. Okay? You got to be careful. Hey, have a great day, guys, and we will talk more about all of this in the future. Ciao.